Hello once again my friends, and welcome to yet another PhilbertGreen painting video. As always, this isn't really a professional tutorial, but I hope it does help if you are following along at home. What do you get if you put down this bad guy enough times? An angry and more unstable version, the last mini left in the box, and the final boss of the core set of Resident Evil 3, it's our formidable Nemesis. This time, looking a little worse for wear and slightly more mutated, ready to infect any survivors just looking for a helicopter at the St. Michael's Clock Tower. Just like my other videos, if you are following along at home, just take your time and go at a pace that you're comfortable with. As ever, we'll be starting off by basing him with Mechanicus Standard Grey. With our boy now based, I used Corvus Black to paint his badass yet now ruined trench coat, trousers, and his new rock boots. As always, I thinned down my paints and applied at least 2 thin coats. With the bottom half painted, it's time for his top half. I used Rakarth Flesh to paint all of the skin Nemi is exposing, taking care not to paint the exposed muscle where his skin is torn and the tentacles erupting out from all over him. Yeah, you guessed it, next up is the exposed muscle. Using Khorne Red, I painted all the areas that look like his skin is split open to reveal the gruesome mess underneath. I also painted his revealed gums around his teeth using Khorne Red. I next used Screamer Pink to paint all the horrible noodly appendages erupting from his body. By that, yes, I do mean his tentacles, not forgetting the mass of them that appear to be bursting out from his back. Much the same as my last video on the Gravedigger, I used Pink Horror to highlight his raised up bulging veins around his arms. Our boy Nemi definitely lifts, bro. Still sticking with the Pink Horror, I painted a streak down all of his tentacles just to add a bit of definition to them and get them looking a little bit more, well, tentacly. Clearly, we need to talk about Nemesis' skincare routine, as he has a number of large boils poking out of his back. I used White Scar to paint them initially, and then after that was dry, I followed it up with Ushabti Bone to give them a nasty, pus-looking off-colour. After touching up all my messy mistakes, because as I'm sure you're all aware by now, I am a very messy child, I finished the final details, such as painting the metal buckles on the remnants of his jacket and the staples in his head with lead Belcher, and I used some more Rakarth Flesh to paint his beautiful smile. Next up is the washes. I used Nuln Oil for the lower half of his body. As I mentioned in the Stage 1 video, adding a wash to a dark colour like black will just make it darker, but as you can see, it still does bring out the definition. To keep continuity with our Stage 1 mini, I used Carroburg Crimson mixed with Lahmian Medium to make a weaker wash and wash all of his skin. See my Stage 1 video if you're unsure about this, the link is in the description. After that, I used regular Carroburg Crimson to wash his exposed muscle and his tentacles. The next wash I used was Nuln Oil Gloss. I made sure to get most of it off of my brush, leaving only a small amount, and carefully just wiped it down the tentacles. The idea here is not to overload the brush and make them look super dark, but just to achieve the shiny, wet look, a la the Drain Demos. This is the final wash, I swear to you. I used Agrax Earthshade just to darken and pronounce his teeth. The last thing to do before basing our beautiful bastard is, of course, just to add a dab of White Scar for his single remaining eye. And of course, the very last step was our favourite Astrogranite Technical Paint, washed with a Nuln Oil and lightly dry brush with Celestra Grey basing technique. As Nemi is the final boss of the board game encountered in the courtyard of the clock tower, this badass motherfucker gets the deadly black band around the base. And there you have it! The Tentacled Terror, the Evolved Evil, the Stalking Scourge of Raccoon City, Nemesis Stage 2. Ready to ruin anyone's day who was unlucky enough to have pissed him off and crossed his path. I actually thoroughly enjoyed painting this model. The tentacles give him a distinct look from his earlier counterpart, as well as the fact that we already had a paint scheme down for him from the Stage 1 version, which definitely helped make the process a hell of a lot easier. I'm very pleased with how the two of them look. And with that, we sadly come to an end of the core box of Resident Evil 3, the board game. With all the minis now painted, it's time to put them to good use and see if we can escape Raccoon City alive and uninfected. Thank you so much for watching these videos, you guys. I never expected them to take off the way that they have, and it makes me so happy to hear that they are actually helping some of you to paint your own minis at home. Fear not, however, brave survivors, as this is not the end. The series will be continuing as we delve into the horrors that lurk in the City of Ruin expansion, and we paint the terrors that will stand in our way as we try to escape from the hospital, the park, and the Dead Factory. Once again, thank you all for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Stay safe, survivors!